What problems are troubling you? What's frustrating you, bothering you, worrying you? Want solutions? Want answers? Welcome to Here We Come to Save the Day, hosted by David Adelson. This podcast is dedicated to solving everyday and global problems in an uplifting, fun, enjoyable way. There is a solution to whatever's troubling you. Ask your questions and we'll do our best to give you practical, useful, workable solutions you can use starting today. Join us now with David's special guest experts who will share their own experiences, life lessons, and practical strategies for creating the life you long for. Start living your best life today, right now, with David Adelson and friends.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Here We Come to Save the Day. I'm with delightfully wonderful and vibrant Emerald GreenForest, and today she's going to be talking to us about, for those of us who have a purpose, how to get our message out into the world effectively. So welcome, Emerald. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here. I'm really excited about this opportunity to serve your audience and to help, especially those people who are really feeling called to serve in a big way. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the pieces of my Be Heard by Millions solution with them, because it's how I actually was able to get my message out to the world. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, so I'm encouraging everybody to stick around till the end because we've got some wonderful things coming. And I know in your book you have 7 steps. I know there's some other things that may come up. We don't know how many we'll get through today with time, but we'll give people ways to follow up afterwards. But if you feel like you have something to offer the world, and it's now your time to do so, this will help you move big and move quickly. So I'm really happy to do this. I think we're going to play with some really fun questions here, because that's one of the things that I'm trying to do, of course, with our Peace and Harmony program, with our Forever and Flow program, is help get people in alignment, help get people in peace and harmony. And our goal is to get, millions of pockets of peace as quickly as possible, because we think that will help the world significantly. So I may ask you some, how to do it questions. I know you'll be talking about some how you did it questions. So this should be lots of fun. I want to take a moment and tell a little bit about to our audience who you are. So I'm going to read some things from your bio here. You are the founder and lead visionary of Creative Age Consulting Group. Okay, you're an internationally known speaker, transformation artist, Be the Change, Movement to Watch Award winner, #1 new release author of Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny, which is your book we're going to be talking about, and one of America's premier experts, creator of the I'm reading this like it's a list, and it's not. You have created the Apple US Top 50 ranked Men on Purpose podcast, which you recently sold to a mutual friend. I don't know if we'll talk much about that today. And you are the executive producer and host of the Apple US Top 75 ranked, you're the top 75 ranked Wickedly Smart Women podcast. You are hired to consult with high-achieving leaders who are called to be the vagabond of the creative age.
The vanguard of the
vanguard. What did I say?
You said vagabond.
Well, that tells you what I'm thinking about today.
I could hear that.
Because we're all in our houses and for so long.
You want to get out.
It's just that we have that, even if it's just to the market these days. Anyway, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
It is something that I noticed in my work. I noticed it at the New Media Summit when we were there, and all around it, people who have come here with a purpose, who are now waking up to that purpose. The world has now reached a point where they can bring that purpose forward. Again, for my vision of the world, and I'm sure yours is a world of intense peace and harmony and prosperity and health and vitality, where it's basically heaven on earth, all good everywhere, no non-good anywhere. And I think that's inevitable, and I think it's happening faster and faster. I think that when you see that that's where we're going, the different changes that we're going through start to make sense. Otherwise, one could feel that we're coming to some apocalyptic thing that's going to be horrible. I think it's the exact opposite. I think there's going to be some changes. I think we're going through one now. Personally, I'm amazed at the brilliance of what we're doing now, because the amount of change that's happening on the planet, as I'm sure you'll agree, is huge in a very short period of time with no violence. It's actually, we've reduced the violence. And so I'm very excited about that. But for those people who are now feeling like they have new information for the world, they have new tools, they have new techniques that can eliminate pollution, eliminate poverty, help us have more cleaner energy, or whatever it is. Maybe it's just new knowledge about how to be successful in the world. I think for those people, they're waking up and they realize that there is not a panic, but an urgency to get as much of this out as quickly as possible, which is why I'm glad you're here, because I think you're now going to tell us and them how to do that. So where do we begin? What's step one, Emerald?
Well, before we even get to step one, I just want to give a little bit of backstory, David, about my own journey, because, I totally agree with you that we are in, especially at this time, a moment of enormous spiritual awakening across the planet. But I believe that it's been coming in waves. So there's been wave after wave after wave where cohorts of people have been coming in and coming online essentially with their own awakenings. And so I think it might be helpful for those who are awakening now, who are being germinated, who are being, popped open now, to hear a little bit about my own journey, which is kind of what happened for me that allowed me to actually be able to sit here and give you this information. So back in 2001, I had my own spiritual awakening. And so that was, 19 years ago, right? And as a result of that spiritual awakening, a lot of things changed in my life. I had been a real estate developer. My last project was 51 single family homes, 56 apartments in an office building. And then all of a sudden I had a huge spiritual awakening that put me on a path that was completely unknown, completely unexpected, but also completely exciting, because I discovered so many latent parts of myself that I didn't know existed, including the fact that I could be a healer, including the fact that I was actually an artist, including the fact that I could use words and create books and be an author and a writer, and including that I could become a leader for people all over the world, as one of the many women in particular who were rising up to demonstrate self-sovereignty and entrepreneurship and self-sufficiency and creating our own economies and all of those amazing things. So to anybody who is right now just in that germination phase, right? You're popping open and all of a sudden you have a realization that you have a solution to a challenge that we are being faced with right now. And right now, I think everything is under a massive, massive microscope spotlight. Like, all the challenges are being revealed. And as those challenges are revealed, the solution has to be there. It must be there, because there are no problems. There are only solutions that have yet to be found. So the people who are now being awakened are at a beautiful place in their journey where they get to say, I have the solution for that, or I have the answer to a desire. Sometimes it's the solution to a problem. Sometimes it is the fulfillment of a desire that people are able to bring. So if our desire, say, so to speak, would be like your work, if our desire is to have greater peace and harmony, well, that desire is a force field that the more people who have desire for peace and harmony, that in their hearts they're praying for peace and harmony, in their everyday actions that they're choosing to invest in themselves to create more peace and harmony, or they're choosing to go in the direction of retraining themselves or losing the old conditioning that says we need to be in competition and cutthroat, mode. Those people who are in that desire are actually the people who have been calling you. And you came onto the planet and began to develop your programs and services in response to that calling, in response to those prayers, in response to those people. So anybody who's waking up right now, if you have a desire to serve, if you have a calling that you know you must fulfill, if you are suddenly awake to a massive solution that could be provided into the world, if you are suddenly getting ideas to innovate something, well, what goes along with that is being able to get that message out that you are the one who has this solution or fulfillment of desire. And so part of the work is saying, yes, I will answer that call, right? That's part of the work.
Absolutely.
And so the first step is to be, and that is believe. The first step in my Be Heard by Millions solution is be. Believe that you are being called. And when you believe that you are being called, and when you believe in your calling, and when you believe that you are here to actually serve a purpose, that, along with the second step, which is energize, believe and energize, those are the first two steps of the solution here. Those are the anchor points that allow you to be fueled to keep going, even when it looks like everything is falling apart. So the first two steps are believe and get energized.
So this is very interesting. In my work with some of my clients who are just growing into some of the things, one of the clearings that we do a lot and extensively, and turns out to be a big one for some people, is allow yourself to be who you are. Allow yourself to be able to do what you can do. Allow yourself to be recognized as someone that can do that. We talk a lot about a king or a ruler who's humble, who says, no, I shouldn't be this ruler, I shouldn't be this. Their kingdom is doomed because it needs someone who's willing to take the reins and say, and ideally we have a well-wisher of the population who says, oh, the drainage pipes are backed up everywhere, we need to replace that infrastructure, whatever, or we need to fix the schools, or we need to do something. If somebody's not willing to make decisions, if they're not allowing themselves to be someone who's capable of that, again, when you talk about realizing that you're a healer, realizing that you're an artist, the first thing you have to do is allow yourself to be a healer, allow yourself to be an artist. Otherwise, if you keep playing the old tape, it no longer serves you and it no longer serves the world.
Yeah. And you use the word humble, but I'm going to actually say to you, David, it's not somebody who's being humble, because I do think that there is a place for being humble in leadership. It's people who are in a state of denial of their actual power and who are using false humility to hide. And so I think there's just a little bit of a distinction there. And, the other thing that is just coming through for me while we're talking here is, when you are in caterpillar, right? When you're conditioned to believe that you're a caterpillar, and then all of a sudden you get this urge to go into the cocoon, and then you come out and now you can fly. You have to acknowledge, oh, I can fly now. I'm no longer just crawling along on the ground, right?
Exactly. And that's that you have to allow yourself to be a being who can fly. You have to allow yourself a being who can heal. You have to allow yourself to being who's developed this product, this service, this brilliant idea, this new way of thinking, this new way of creating something that's useful to people, whatever it is. And I'm not being vague on purpose, but I am. I'm aware that that there exists on the planet now the technologies and solutions for virtually 97% of all of the problems that exist. And we're talking, we absolutely have solutions for all of the biggies. They are here, and most of them have been here for over a decade. For the big ones like poverty and pollution and energy, all of those, and clean water, all of those the solutions are here for. And when we talk about 97%, we're talking about all the little things that people can run into. Those solutions are there too. Like, how do you order a pair of shoes through the mail and make sure that they fit? There's actually a way to do that, but it's not out yet. But somebody has that, and if they do it right, they could make millions and help the world at the same time. And it's not a big thing. Nobody's in great anxiety about it, but it is a frustrating thing. And if we want a world that is much more heavenly, we don't even want those kinds of problems.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that your work allows for the resolution of so much of even the small frustrations, because, if you're walking around with a pebble in your shoe for a while, you're going to be pretty irritated after a while. So anyway, I want to get back to, how I actually did my own journey. So when I stepped into answering the call myself, part of my calling at that time was I knew I needed to speak to people all over the world, because I went through a healing process that was so profound and changed my life so radically that once I was on the other side, I could see so many people that were in the space that I had been in, which was in a space of constant anxiety, constant frustration, constant arguments, constant conflict, constant abuse, self-abuse, all the things. It was like every day was a horrible experience for a long period of my life. And I didn't even know how horrible it was. It was literally like I was swimming around in the sewer, but I didn't know I was swimming around in the sewer until I did. And once I did, and then went through this healing experience, I could see all these other people that were part of my family, people that were part of my social circles, people that, were in the human family, that I could now see, oh my God, you guys are all swimming in the sewer. Let me tell you what happened for me, how I was able to create a bridge out of the sewer and into clarity and clear waters and to flowing freely and swimming with the dolphins, right? To use a metaphor right there. And so part of what I had to do was I had to speak. I had to get my message out. It was a no choice kind of thing. It was like, this is a must do in me. And I knew it was global. And at the same time, I was a single mom with a young child who was getting ready to go into his teenage years. He was getting ready to go into puberty when my calling brought me into the speaking part of the journey. And so thank God for the technology angels. And there are solutions, right? Because I knew there was no way I was going to be on the road for 260 out of 365 days out of the year and still parent my child as a single mother. It just wasn't happening. So gratefully, the technology angels answered the call. Back in 2008 was when I first got online speaking and began to share my message with people all over the world. And so I was able to create multiple millions of dollars from home as a single mom, sharing my message, inspiring people everywhere, doing my healing work, doing my work, empowering women, helping them to feel great, speaking and powerful, asking for money, doing my work, helping other women entrepreneurs who were coming up at that time and through that period of time to step into leadership roles. Also had some men that I worked with as well. And part of what what I want to share with the people who are listening here is the story of it can be done, and you can still make the brownies for the football team for every game. Although right now we're not playing football games, right? So I was the mom that made the brownies for the football team for every game at the same time as I was serving my purpose, delivering my message, and literally being heard by millions of people all over the world.
So this is very exciting to me because how did you do it? I mean, yeah, basically to be able to be heard by millions, what are the steps that one takes? Because, the first thing that a lot of people think that I would think is, oh, I need PR, I need a person to book me, I need to do whatever. And did you hire people? Did you have the right connections to begin with? Did you cold call people? Did you put up a big antenna next to your house with a flag on it that said call 1-800? What did you do?
Well, that's a great question. And so I do have in my book, Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny, I actually have it laid out, all the 7 steps that I took. But I think for today's purposes, the most important, like the heart of all of this, David, is step, let's see what step it is, HEA. So it's probably step 5 off the top, and BEHEA. Yeah, step 5. Step 5 is the art of the ask, the art of the ask. So when you have a powerful calling, it's not enough to just answer the calling and say, yes, I want to do this. You also must learn how to exercise your asking muscle, right? And you must learn to practice the art of the ask. So initially for me, my own journey, I asked for help from a mentor. I found a mentor. But at the very beginning, David, I was just throwing spaghetti against the wall. I had no idea. I was just looking here, there, and everywhere and trying to figure it out by myself. And so the first couple of years was a little bit kind of chaotic because I was trying to make my own website, coding it I was teaching myself HTML. I was trying to figure out all the things, right?
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah. And then I stumbled upon a mentor, and the first mentor that I stumbled upon happened to have a platform where he was helping people to do teleseminars. This was back in the day where nobody was on TV like we are now, but or on video like we are now. It was all over the phone. So people were doing teleseminars, and he had a platform where he had people. He hosted people doing teleseminars. So I'll tell you the pluses and the minuses of that. Plus was I found a platform where I could speak that already had some people who had been gathered. Plus, I was able to put my message out and deliver it and ask people to become part of my own community. So there's an ask. You have to exercise your asking muscle. So I asked people to become part of my own community. The minus was I didn't know that I should only have 1, maybe 2, at the very most 3 topics that I was speaking on. So I did 27 different teleseminars because I didn't understand how it all worked. And I didn't understand that I needed to have a more focused and repetitive message going out there rather than multiple messages going out that were across a broad range of topics. But that was my journey. And so as a result of that journey and doing 27 different teleseminars, I built my initial list of about 1,000 people. And then from there, I began to get more mentorship and in the area of asking for money. So we're in the art of the ask right now, because through all of that, I was doing all the things, but I wasn't making any money. And I couldn't figure out, I was just saying, oh, come to my website, come to my website, come to my website. But I didn't understand that I needed to actually give people even more kind of hand-holding instruction about how to connect with me personally and how to purchase from me, right? So I didn't know that I needed to know that I have to give people step-by-step instructions on how to purchase from me, whether it's a product, right, to purchase my book or purchase my online training or whatever, or to purchase from me directly to be mentored by me as a service. So again, it was mentorship that helped me to get that understanding and to begin to implement it.
Okay, now I have several things that I want to say, but I'm not sure they're completely practical. So how do you find a mentor? I mean, obviously you ask and you do your internal, if you're having this experience, you do your prayers, you certainly ask friends or something, but don't mentors cost money? I mean,
Yes, they do.
So when you found a mentor to help you with and now there are, I know a lot of people put together different webinars these days where they'll have, 5 or 10 or 15 different healers. I saw somebody who's doing a 1 day a month thing with like 30 different healers that are all amazing healers, and it's free and everybody can go. Excuse me, and they all offer or sell or whatever it is. I have a question about where you find mentors, but I really want to bring home the thing about the ask, because when I was first in the world, I had a job selling tax deferred annuities. We don't need to get into all of that, but I was doing okay, and it was selling a certain percentage, and it wasn't a bad percentage, but I'd been doing it for a while, and I was talking to my manager, and I said, what do you think what is there that I can do that will, improve my sales things? And he said, are you asking them to buy? And my jaw hit the floor, because just like you, I offered them a product that I explained in great detail, that I made very sure that they were aware of what's their benefit. And then I was just assuming that if you showed somebody that they would make a decision in favor of their, we were saving them lots of money and yada, yada, yada. While it wasn't for everybody, I never expected everybody to do it, but I thought that those people who got it, and you could see it in their eyes that they got it, and yet I would leave without having made the sale. And when he said, are you asking for it? My jaw hit the floor. I mean, figuratively, not literally. And I was in shock that you can do that, I had no clue that you could ask for what you want. And I think that's an important thing. And one of the things I want to encourage people is, find someone who can help you, but ask the divine, ask whoever you pray to bring those people to you.
Yeah. I want to speak to that, because you had a question in there about, well, how do you find the mentor if you're just doing your prayer work and all of those things? And for me, the mentors came synchronistically. They ended up in front of me. I mean, maybe there's somebody who's listening right now, and I am showing up right now synchronistically in your ears, and you just know that you need to have a conversation with me because I'm your mentor, because you just know. I never actually went on the hunt for mentors. In fact, my first mentorship experience, I didn't even know mentors and coaches and trainers existed. Like, I didn't even have any mindset or awareness of that ability to have that kind of support. I was in the mindset that I had this calling and I better figure it out, because it is so profound that, like, I'll explode if I don't get my message out. I don't know what I have to do, but I didn't care if I had to step on the roof if I had to get the message out. But I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So I didn't know that there were coaches. I didn't know that there were mentors. I didn't know that I could take trainings. And in retrospect, I'm kind of glad I didn't know, because if I had known, I might have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money chasing after a whole wide variety of things that I might have thought I should do. And because I didn't do that, because I followed my own flow, and because I allowed for synchronicity to bring to me what I required, like the real prayer is, okay, I'll do this calling, show me what my next step is, right? And
Yeah.
as a result, you know, you're asking for help from the divine, you're asking for help from the universal field. Now you use that asking muscle to be surrendered to your own unclarity, right? Like if you don't know what you don't know who to ask, you don't know where to go, you just simply don't know, you must then ask for divine support, because the calling is coming from the divine. The support will also be there from the divine. And I love that you bring up, you know, that you need to ask people to buy. I didn't know that I needed to ask people to buy either. And asking for money for people can be a very challenging thing to do. You know, I love your story, David, because you really illustrate the difference between a demonstrator and a closer. Because what you were doing was you were putting all the information in front of the people, but you weren't necessarily finding out whether they even cared about the information first, right? And so there's a big difference between a demonstrator and somebody who will close a sale and create money, because the person who closes the sale begins the conversation by going deep into asking questions of the prospect, and then doesn't talk about anything other than what the prospect is interested in. Because what can happen is prospects can get confused by too much information. So it's better, and you're more likely to close and make money if you help the prospect to see that you get them. Not that you have this great thing, but that you get them, that you understand them. And that requires a lot of asking.
I have to tell you this. One of the people that became a salesperson at the same time I did, a good friend of mine, went up to Northern California. I stayed in the Orange County area, but he went up to Northern California. And one of his sales calls was that when he walked up to the guy's home, there was a boat. And my friend was very big into boating at catamaran and all this stuff. And when he walked in, he just started talking about boating. They ended up talking about all kinds of things for 90 minutes. And about boating, I think the guy ended up renting, they did something together, whatever. But at the end of 90 minutes, my friend finally said to him, look, I really should tell you what this is about. And the guy said, don't bother, just write it up. You know, so he made a sale not giving the presentation.
Correct.
There's I love your idea about flow and having the things come. I think the sequence that I'm kind of want to encapsulate right now is that the first thing is when we have the realization that we have a calling, that we own it, we allow it, we accept it, we get that we were a caterpillar, but now we're a butterfly and the rules have completely changed. That then if we don't know where to go, the first thing to do is to ask the divine for guidance, for help. And then what you're saying is also to ask the people that you run into. At a time that my mother wanted to move to a very desirable place, Stockbridge, Massachusetts, which is a very cool place. Very small town, population been 2,000 or under for my whole life. Don't know what it is now. But everybody would say, no, that's too, you'll never find a place there. And she did. She found a great place, a half of a house, 9 rooms. And it was like some ridiculous price, but this was, 50 years ago also. But the way that she did it was she would just go to Stockbridge and she would ask everybody on the street, do you know a place? 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 And after a few months, she found something. But when you're in flow, I think it can be easier because there's a Vedic expression from the Ved from India, Veda, that says, "He who is awake," the Vedas, which is knowledge. He who is awake, the Vedas seek him out. But it's also just what you said at the beginning, Emerald, when you talked about how if you're waking up to this calling now, you're fulfilling a purpose now. It's this idea that the world is now awake to have this gift, this information, this technology, these tools, whatever it is that you're here presenting. The world is now awake enough to receive it. Now the instruction or the guidance or the suggestion is you should also be awake. You open, you allow yourself to be this person. You ask for the support to come, and by simply being awake when it comes, you just exactly what you described. You didn't even know what to look for, but the right thing showed up in front of you. And I really want to encourage people to know that you can be awake to success. You can be awake to getting your message across. You can be awake to financial abundance. There are so many things, and just again allow the receiving when it comes. Don't slam the door in the face when the mentor or whatever you need shows up.
Exactly. And I will also say, David, that I want to underscore that it did require investment, right? It did require investment on my part. So the third piece of this puzzle, besides the things that you just, kind of encapsulated there, is you have to, when that support shows up, you got to say yes to that. You got to invest in that. You've got to trust, and you've got to have faith that the calling will provide whatever is required. If you have this big calling, the calling itself will provide whatever is required, whether that's a mentor that you have to invest in. Sometimes it's a book that falls off a shelf. Sometimes it's as simple as that. So the perpetual asking is the ask of what is next. Put in front of me, please put in front of me whatever is next.
There's a little prayer. Thank you for saying that. One of the things that I find is allowing, accepting, receiving. Receiving has been a big one because, to be honest, culturally, worldwide, we have not been taught to receive. And we don't need to go into why, because that's changing. But there's a little prayer thing that I was given, which says, when you call on the divine in the name that warms your heart, which could be a specific aspect of the divine mother, Mother Mary, Lord Christ, Buddha, Shankara, whatever your tradition is, Muhammad, whatever that is. But it could just be beloved or dear one or God or love or goddess. But we call on the name that warms our hearts, and then we say, we ask for whatever we need next. May whatever we need next to fulfill this mission show up. May I recognize it. May I receive it. May I act on it. And then we always have this little, and don't let me miss it. Don't let me miss this opportunity. Thank you, God, and so it is. But we add that quality because, so many times it can happen that what we wanted was right there, and 3 weeks later we suddenly go, oh my God, that was the answer to my prayer, but now it's not. It may or may not be available. So
well, I want to just, what's coming immediately for that is how we miss it. How we miss it is we're attached to our conditioning that it needs to be hard, and if it's not hard earned, it's not worth it. So there's a huge amount of conditioning that we're just going to invite right now to be dissolved around that, because that's not a peaceful or harmonious way to be in relationship with the divine. Because if it is true that you are in right relationship with the divine, then when you have it put in front of you, it's easy. It's just like, oh, of course, that's the next step. You just step right into that next step rather than being attached to the belief that oh, it can't be as easy as that. So I'm going to go this roundabout, messed up, jump over the crevasse, fall into the ditch, get all sweaty, cut my knees, and come back around and say, oh, I was supposed to take a right there, right? Like the right was right there, but you just get so attached to the hard challenges. So so you want to invest financially in mentorship, because what mentorship does, speaking of making things easy, is, when somebody invests, let's say, for example, with me, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars and many, many hours and years of my life to be able to teach and guide and say, hey, there was a time where I fell in the ditch, cut my knee, did all of these things. And I can see, because I'm here as your mentor, you've invested to work with me. I can see that if you take that direction, those are all the things that are going to happen for you, but you don't have to take that direction. You can go in this direction instead. And what will happen is your calling will become in fruition that much sooner.
I want to thank you for saying that. I agree wholeheartedly. We have a quiz online to help people make sure they're in alignment with their purpose. It's takethisquiznow.com. And you take the quiz, it takes a couple of minutes. You give us your email address. We give you the results. We also send you to some pages that'll give you some advanced information. All of it is about our Forever in Flow program. We have a book coming out that we're going to be offering, at least initially, for free at foreverinflow.com. You can go there and request that. And then for those who want, we do have advanced programs that you can work one-on-one with us or in a group or whatever. But the reason I want to bring this up is because one of the key tenets of what we say is when you are in flow, first of all, exactly what you're saying, Emerald, things become very, very easy. And like that, we have to get rid of any blocks about that. And also, joy is a part of it. Because if joy is not a part of what your mission is, something's out of kilter. Because everybody likes to be a hero. We have be a hero back here behind me. Everybody likes to be a hero to someone. And just that aspect, if no other aspect, that is very fulfilling and rewarding to people who are involved in that. And I know you have a quiz as well that you can help people with.
I do. So we've been talking a lot today about being heard by millions and living your destiny. So the people who are most resonant with that, part of what you will want to learn is what your unique speaker magic is. And there's actually 5 different archetypes of speakers, and each different archetype has different things that it needs to focus on in order to actually get their message out to the right audiences, to make money, and to not waste time, energy, and attention on being in the wrong place talking to the wrong people. So you want to know what your speaker magic is. You can go to quiz.beheardbymillions.com, and it's a very short quiz, takes like less than 5 minutes to do, and you will get the result. And after you get that result, you'll have an opportunity to perhaps have a conversation with me to see if it's a fit for me to mentor you. The other thing that you can do if you are interested in my book is just find it on Amazon. It's Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny. It was a #1 new release in business consulting and home-based advertising and webinars and podcasts, because I'm also a podcast host, which is kind of like the new iteration of getting your message out. So those are the places where you can find me, and I'd love to have you take my quiz, quiz.beheardbymillions.com.
Thank you. I want to bring up something because, like you talked about how you gave 27 different topics and everything. I've seen your art. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I know you, and I know how smart you are. We've talked before. I've been on your podcast, which is not yours anymore, but anyway. And but that was lovely. we're great friends, but I exactly had, see, my mission was to bring certain energies to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get a lot of the things that are here, as one of my friends recently said, oh, first timers, when you're, so for those who understand what that is. And so my whole thing was I didn't ever worry about money, which meant I didn't think about it, which meant I didn't make it a priority. I made it a priority to accomplish these things. So over the last, I don't know, couple dozen years, I've created literally hundreds of programs and products. It's like 700 different programs and stuff. And for the last several years, my son, who's kind of been doing the business aspect, has been telling me, you can't bring them all out at once. You have to pick one. You have to, and just as you said, one, maybe two, one, maybe two, one, maybe two. But I was like, no, people have headaches. Let's get rid of their headaches. And then the next day, I would create some product that got rid of, toenail fungus, or, how to sleep better, or so many different things.
Yeah. Well, and the multidimensional people like yourself, and I'm multidimensional as well, it can be a huge struggle because you're called to deliver these programs. You can't not do it, right, David? You're like, I got to put this out. I got to put this out. I got to put this out. How I help people like you and myself is we find the umbrella. It's kind of like when you go into the grocery store, there's hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of different products, but not everybody is going to buy the celery. Not everybody is going to buy the cereal. Not everybody is going to buy the milk. So the work is to find the umbrella, like the grocery store umbrella, that will help people to find you. And then you just promote the umbrella and you don't worry about the products. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm really happy because we finally narrowed it. We've changed the branding and everything to be the one product we're focusing on is giving away and selling more advanced and more powerful programs of the Peace and Harmony program. Right. So for those who are interested, and if I have to ask, would you like peace, harmony in your life, and would you be willing to press play on a video screen to get it? Go to peaceandharmonydownload.com and just play. You don't even have to opt in to do it. But for those who want more, we have more advanced, you click another button about how to get more out of the program, and it'll take you to a page. And we do have everything from fairly low cost to programs that will do, your house, your business, your neighborhood, your city, your country, however big you want to do, we can create a program for that. We are also right now, I do want to give a plug for this, for hospitals, or for first responders, for businesses that are required to be open right now, like grocery stores and stuff. We are giving away the version that they can run through their PA system for free for as long as we're in this situation in the world. And after that, it's ridiculously low price, like I don't even remember what it was, 5 or 10 cents or 50 cents or $1 or something. It's some ridiculously low price. It can be played in prisons and everywhere. And just go to peaceandharmonydownload.com to start the process. It'll tell you how to connect with us. So with that in mind, we created the Peace and Harmony Company, which I feel is a great umbrella for all of the different things that we did.
Good job.
Thank you. I know you have to go, which is really too bad because I would definitely continue this for.
Well, we can try and have another conversation at another time, but right now I actually do have to go because I have a guest that I'm going to be interviewing momentarily for the Wickedly Smart Women podcast. So, yeah. Yeah.
So I want to give you a chance to wrap up. What would the message you want to give people with? I really appreciate it. I think you've given some very practical starting points for people today. So I bow to you humbly. I'm very grateful for your friendship and for you being here today. Any last words of wisdom or?
Yeah, I think the last piece I just want to drop in here is trust the message. Like if you are called, the message itself has a life of its own. And it will evolve you. It will grow you. It will put wind underneath your wings, and it will be the contribution that you are here to make, and will fill your bank accounts, and it will fill your heart at the same time. So trust in your message. Say yes. Just start by saying yes. Just keep it simple. Start by saying yes, and then start asking, what's my next step? Who's here to help me? And ask, because the message will provide the answers as well.
Thank you so much. I just want to add to that, not only trust the message, trust yourself that the message came to you because you can do it. So
Exactly.
we want to clear out, do not allow any self-doubt. Don't go there. If you got the message, you're the person who was supposed to get it.
Exactly.
Mail only gets delivered to the addressee. So
exactly. Thank you so much for having me, David. And I
Emerald,
hope this was
it's
a
been
service.
great. I would
Yeah.
love to do it again sometime, and I'd love to chat with you sometime, and we'll get together again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to another helpful, fun, and life-changing episode of Here We Come to Save the Day with David Adelson. To access the show notes and additional resources, go to herewecometosavetheday.com. If you've enjoyed the show and find it helpful and fun, please leave us a review and share with a friend. Tell us issues troubling you or questions you have. We're here to help you. That's what Here We Come to Save the Day is all about. Till next time.